The morning coffee was still steaming in Rebecca Torres's cup when the alarm changed everything. She had been reviewing supply reports in her quarters aboard Luna Station, enjoying the rare quiet moment before her shift began. The harsh red lights that suddenly flooded her room meant only one thing: incoming threat detected. Rebecca grabbed her uniform jacket and ran toward the command center. Her boots echoed through the metal corridors as other officers rushed past her. 23 years in the Sol Defense Network had taught her to read emergencies, and the panic in everyone's faces told her this was different. The command center buzzed with activity when she arrived. Screens showed tracking data from deep space. Sensors and the numbers made her stomach drop. 12 objects were moving toward Earth at incredible speed. Too fast to be natural meteors, too precise to be random debris. "Report," Rebecca ordered as she took her position at the central console. Lieutenant Davis turned toward her with wide eyes. "Admiral, we detected 12 projectiles 40 minutes ago. They're moving at 92% light speed and maintaining perfect trajectory toward major population centers." Rebecca studied the display screen. The objects were heading straight for New York, London, Tokyo, Mumbai, São Paulo, Cairo, Sydney, Moscow, Lagos, Mexico City, Beijing, and Berlin. Each projectile was the size of a small building and made of unknown materials that absorbed their scanning beams. "Time to impact?" she asked. 6 hours and 37 minutes for the first wave. Rebecca felt ice form in her chest. 6 hours to save 12 cities and over 200 million people. She opened the emergency channel to Earth Command. "This is Admiral Torres at Luna Station. We have confirmed threat incoming. Activate all defensive systems and begin immediate evacuation of target cities." The response came quickly from General Kim on Earth. "Admiral, evacuation of 200 million people in 6 hours is impossible. Can you intercept?" Rebecca looked at the trajectory calculations again. The objects were too fast and too heavily shielded. "Negative. Our missiles can't catch them and our energy weapons won't penetrate at that speed. We need to focus on damage control." The next 6 hours felt like minutes. Rebecca watched helplessly as Earth's cities tried to evacuate, highways jammed with fleeing cars, airports overwhelmed with desperate people, emergency services stretched beyond breaking. She ordered every available ship to Earth for rescue operations, but deep down she knew it wouldn't be enough. The first impact hit New York at exactly 13 minutes past noon Earth time. The projectile struck Manhattan with the force of 50 nuclear bombs. The explosion vaporized everything within 20 kilometers and sent shockwaves across the entire continent. Rebecca watched the satellite feed until the blast knocked out the cameras. 11 more impacts followed over the next 3 hours. London disappeared in a flash of white light. Tokyo's harbor boiled away in seconds. Mumbai's sprawling streets turned to dust. Each strike created a perfect crater exactly 10 kilometers deep and 30 kilometers wide. But something strange happened after the impacts. Instead of normal blast craters, each site began growing strange crystal formations. Purple and blue. Crystals emerged from the ground, reaching toward the sky like alien flowers. The crystals pulsed with energy that Earth sensors couldn't identify. "Admiral," Davis called out, "we're receiving transmissions from the impact sites. The signals are not human." Rebecca moved to the communication station. "Let me hear them." The speaker crackled with static, then cleared to reveal voices speaking in an unknown language. But Earth's computers had been working on translation, and slowly the words became understandable. Scanning complete. Species classification: human. Technology level: primitive. Threat assessment: minimal. Recommendation: continue with cleansing protocol. A different voice responded. "Understood. The test strikes confirm this species lacks adequate defenses. The main fleet will proceed as planned. These creatures will not spread beyond their home system." Rebecca felt anger burn through her chest. Test strikes. They had killed 200 million people as a test. She grabbed the communication device. "This is Admiral Rebecca Torres of the Sol Defense Network. You have committed an act of genocide against the human race. Identify yourselves." Silence lasted for several seconds, then laughter came through the speakers. "The primitives can intercept our communications." "Interesting. You may call us the hegemony. We are the masters of this galaxy, and you are an infestation that must be removed. Your cities burned beautifully. Why? Rebecca demanded. We never threatened you. We've never even left our own solar system. Young species always expand, always consume, always become problems. We learned long ago that prevention is easier than cure. Your test results show you would become troublesome if allowed to spread. The main fleet will arrive in your system within 2 cycles to complete the cleansing. The transmission ended, leaving the command center in shocked silence. Rebecca stared at the display showing Earth's wounded surface. 12 smoking craters, where proud cities once stood. Millions dead, millions more fleeing the strange radiation coming from the crystal formations. But as she studied the damage reports, Rebecca noticed something the aliens might have missed. The strikes had targeted population centers, not industrial facilities. Earth's military bases remained intact. The shipyards around Mars and Jupiter continued operating. The mining stations throughout the asteroid belt kept producing materials. Davis, she said quietly, get me a priority channel to Earth Command, Mars Defense, and Jupiter Station. Also contact our deep space monitoring posts. Yes, Admiral. What message should I send? Rebecca looked at the crystal formations still growing from Earth's wounds. Alien technology, left behind after the attack. Technology that Earth's best scientists would now have years to study before the main fleet arrived. Tell them we're going to return the favor. The hegemony had made their first mistake. They had underestimated human anger, human determination, and human ability to learn from their enemies. The test strikes were meant to show Earth's weakness, but they had also revealed the aliens' own capabilities. Rebecca Torres began planning humanity's response. The hegemony thought they were dealing with primitives. They were about to discover what humans could accomplish when they had nothing left to lose. The radiation counter clicked faster as Maria Santos approached the edge of the New York crater. 3 weeks had passed since the attack, and the crystal formations had grown into towering spires that hummed with unknown energy. Her protective suit felt heavy in the morning heat, but the reading showed it was safe enough for brief exposure. Maria had spent her entire career studying ancient civilizations, never imagining she would become humanity's first xenoarchaeologist. The aliens had left behind more than destruction. They had left clues. Her job was to find them before the promised invasion fleet arrived. Careful with that scanner, she told her assistant, Tom Wilson. These crystals are more complex than anything we've ever seen. One wrong move and we could trigger some kind of defensive system. Tom nodded nervously as he adjusted the equipment. The boy was fresh out of university, thrown into the most important research project in human history. Around them, other teams worked at different sections of the crater, each group searching for answers that might save their species. The crystals were beautiful in a terrifying way. They grew in perfect geometric patterns, each face reflecting light that seemed to come from within. Maria had found similar formations at all 12 impact sites, suggesting the weapons were more than simple kinetic projectiles. Dr. Santos, Tom called out, I'm getting strange readings from this cluster. The electromagnetic signature is off the charts. Maria hurried over to examine Tom's scanner display. The crystals were definitely artificial, but they weren't just decorative. Energy flowed through them in complex patterns that resembled computer circuits. They're processors, she whispered. The aliens didn't just attack us, they left behind some kind of computer system. Working carefully, Maria's team spent the next several hours mapping the crystal network. Each formation connected to others, through underground energy channels, creating a vast computational matrix beneath the former city. Similar discoveries were being made at the other impact sites around the world. By evening, Maria had enough data to make her report to Admiral Torres and Earth Command. The video conference included scientists from every surviving major university and military leaders from across the solar system. The alien weapons were more than kinetic strikes, Maria explained to the assembled group. They contained sophisticated quantum computers that survived the impact. These devices appear to be scanning and analyzing everything within a 50-kilometer radius. President Harrison, speaking from the emergency capital in Denver, leaned forward on the screen. What kind of information are they gathering? Everything, Maria replied. Our technology, our biology, our communication systems, our military capabilities. The crystals have been transmitting data continuously since the attack. We've been under observation for 3 weeks. Admiral Torres spoke up from Luna Station. Can we stop the transmissions? Maria shook her head. We tried blocking the signals, but the crystals adapt faster than we can counter them. However, we discovered something interesting. The quantum computers work both ways. They're not just sending information, they're also receiving it. Receiving what? Asked General Kim from Earth Command. Updates from the hegemony, star charts, tactical plans, technology specifications. The aliens are using these devices to coordinate their invasion, but they're also storing massive amounts of data locally. Dr. Alan Parker, Earth's leading computer specialist, joined the conversation. Are you suggesting we can access this alien database? I think so, Maria said. But it's dangerous. Any attempt to interface with their systems could trigger defensive measures. We might destroy the computers, or worse, alert the hegemony that we're accessing their network. President Harrison made the decision quickly. The risk is acceptable. Proceed with the attempt, but take every precaution. The next week became the most intense of Maria's career. Working with teams of computer experts and alien technology specialists, she developed methods to carefully probe the crystal network. They started with passive observation, learning how the alien systems operated before attempting any direct contact. The breakthrough came when Tom discovered that the crystals responded to specific electromagnetic frequencies. By matching the hegemony's own communication protocols, they could access the stored data without triggering security systems. We're in, Tom announced after hours of careful adjustment. The database is opening up. What they found changed everything. The crystal computers contained detailed maps of hegemony space, showing the locations of hundreds of worlds and military installations. There were technical specifications for alien weapons, shields, and faster-than-light drives. Most importantly, there were the complete plans for the upcoming invasion. They're calling it the final cleansing, Maria reported to the Emergency Council. 3,000 ships carrying enough firepower to sterilize every world in our solar system. They expect to arrive in 18 months. What about weaknesses? Admiral Torres asked. Any information we can use against them? Maria smiled for the first time since the attacks. The hegemony has conquered hundreds of species, but they've never faced anything like humanity. Their tactics rely on overwhelming firepower and advanced technology, but they don't adapt well to unexpected situations. Every species they've defeated has followed predictable patterns. And humans don't? President Harrison asked. No, sir. The database shows they classify species based on technological development and military capability. They've never encountered a species that excels at improvisation and rapid technological advancement. They think we're primitives, but we're actually something they've never seen before. The alien computers revealed more crucial information over the following days. The hegemony's main strength came from their energy shielding technology and faster-than-light communication networks. Their ships were powerful but not particularly maneuverable. Their commanders followed strict tactical doctrines that left little room for creativity. Most interesting was the discovery that many worlds in hegemony space were conquered territories, held in place by fear and overwhelming force. The aliens had made enemies throughout the galaxy, but no one had ever successfully challenged their dominance. We have a chance, Maria concluded in her final report. The hegemony expects us to cower and die like every other species they've encountered. Instead, we can use their own technology against them. We can turn their invasion into humanity's opportunity to strike back. President Harrison authorized the most ambitious project in human history. Every surviving industrial facility would be converted to military production. The alien technology would be reverse-engineered and integrated into Earth's defenses. Most boldly, humanity would not wait for the invasion fleet to arrive. Maria Santos, the archaeologist who had spent her career studying the dead past, now held the keys to humanity's living future. The aliens had intended their test strikes to demonstrate human weakness. Instead, They had provided the tools for their own destruction. The crystals still hummed with energy in the 12 crater sites, but now human scientists worked alongside them, learning secrets that would transform Earth from victim to victor. The hegemony would discover too late that they had awakened something far more dangerous than another primitive species. They had awakened human ingenuity fueled by the desire for revenge. The welding sparks fell like orange rain in the Mars orbital shipyard. Lisa Chen watched through the observation window as thousands of workers built humanity's response to the hegemony threat. 18 months had seemed like plenty of time when they started the project, but now with only 8 months remaining, every day mattered. Lisa had been designing spacecraft engines before the attack. Now she was creating weapons that would have been impossible just 2 years ago. The alien technology from the crystal sites had opened doors that human science hadn't even known existed. "The quantum resonance chambers are ready for testing," announced her assistant Mark Stevens as he approached with a tablet full of technical readings. "The energy output is 3 times higher than our projections." "Good," Lisa replied, not taking her eyes off the construction below. "We'll need every advantage we can get. Have you heard from the other sites?" Mark checked his communications device. "Jupiter Station reports their first ship will be ready for trials next week. The lunar facilities are ahead of schedule on the new missiles. Earth's underground factories are producing components faster than we can install them." The transformation of human industry had been remarkable. President Harrison's emergency powers had converted every major manufacturing facility to military production. Civilian projects were abandoned, luxury goods forgotten, entertainment industries repurposed. Every human effort now focused on a single goal: survival through victory. Admiral Torres had moved her command from Luna Station to the new orbital fortress above Earth. From there, she coordinated the largest military buildup in human history. The Sol Defense Network had expanded from a few dozen ships to over 800 vessels, each incorporating alien technology that made them far more powerful than anything humanity had previously built. But the real breakthrough had come from Lisa's team. Working with the quantum computers found in the alien crystals, they had discovered how to weaponize the same energy that powered hegemony shields. The result was something they called the quantum lance, a weapon that could transmit devastating energy across interstellar distances instantaneously. "The prototype is ready," Lisa announced to the assembled team in the main laboratory. "We'll start with a test firing at the abandoned mining station in the outer asteroid belt." The quantum lance looked deceptively simple: a crystalline core, surrounded by exotic metal housing, no larger than a car engine, but the power it contained could destroy entire cities from the other side of the solar system. Lisa initiated the firing sequence from her control console. Energy readings spiked as the weapon drew power from the fusion reactors throughout the shipyard. The crystalline core began to glow with the same blue-purple light as the alien formations on Earth. "Firing," Lisa announced. Nothing seemed to happen. No flash, no sound, no visible energy beam. But 3 seconds later, the communications array confirmed that the target mining station had been completely vaporized. The quantum lance had transmitted its energy across millions of kilometers in an instant, bypassing all known forms of protection. The celebration in the laboratory was brief. They had proven the weapon worked, but now came the harder challenge. The hegemony's own quantum network could potentially block or redirect the energy. Lisa's team needed to find ways to overcome alien defenses while keeping their own intentions secret. Meanwhile, Captain Tim Bradley was conducting field tests of their new stealth ships on the edge of hegemony space. His vessel, the Retribution, combined human innovation with alien technology in ways that surprised even the designers. "The hybrid systems are working perfectly," Bradley reported during his weekly communication with Earth Command. "Hegemony. Sensors can't detect our modified ships. We've been observing their border patrols for 2 weeks without being noticed." General Kim, now coordinating Earth's offensive operations, studied Bradley's reconnaissance reports. "What can you tell us about their defenses?" "They're powerful but predictable," Bradley replied. "Their shields can stop our conventional weapons, but they're designed to counter energy attacks from their own technology. Our kinetic weapons can penetrate if we get close enough. And their tactics? rigid. They follow the same patrol patterns every day, same formations, same responses to threats. It's like they're following a manual that never changes. This information proved crucial for Earth's strategy development. Admiral Torres worked with the finest military minds from every nation to create battle plans that exploited hegemony weaknesses while maximizing human advantages. The plan that emerged was audacious beyond anything attempted in human history. Rather than wait for the invasion fleet, Earth would strike first. Using the alien quantum communication network, they would launch simultaneous attacks on 12 hegemony core worlds matching the 12 missiles that had struck Earth. We call it Operation Prometheus, Admiral Torres explained to the Global Military Council. We're going to steal fire from the gods and burn down their empire. The operation required perfect coordination between forces throughout the solar system. Quantum lance weapons would fire simultaneously from Earth, Mars, Jupiter Station, and hidden bases in the asteroid belt. Each lance was targeted at a different hegemony world, using coordinates stolen from their own databases. But the quantum weapons were only part of the plan. Captain Bradley would lead a fleet of stealth ships deep into hegemony space, planting devices that would disrupt their communication networks and free the conquered species they held as slaves. Lisa's team worked around the clock to prepare the weapons. Each quantum lance required precise calibration to ensure it would penetrate hegemony defenses. The alien crystals from Earth's impact sites provided the necessary quantum entanglement, but using them meant risking detection by the enemy. We get one chance, Lisa reminded her team during the final preparation phase. If the hegemony detects what we're doing before all weapons fire, they'll adapt their defenses and our attack will fail. The pressure was enormous, but human ingenuity rose to meet it. Solutions emerged from unexpected places. A teenager in the Australian underground factories discovered how to mask quantum signatures using background cosmic radiation. A former video game designer in the Japanese research labs figured out how to coordinate attacks across multiple star systems using the aliens' own timing protocols. As the launch date approached, every human settlement in the solar system contributed to the effort. Mining stations provided rare metals needed for weapon construction. Agricultural domes grew food to sustain the massive workforce. Even children helped by sorting components and running messages between facilities. President Harrison made regular broadcasts to keep morale high, but he didn't need to say much. Every human alive understood what failure meant. The hegemony had promised complete extinction. Earth's response would either secure humanity's future among the stars or ensure their destruction with dignity intact. The final week before Operation Prometheus saw frenetic activity throughout human space. Ships moved into position, weapons received their final calibrations, and communication networks tested their synchronization. Admiral Torres coordinated from her command center, watching as humanity prepared to announce itself to the galaxy not as victims, but as liberators. Lisa Chen made the last adjustment to her quantum lance as the countdown entered its final hours. The weapon that had started as desperate improvisation had become humanity's sword of vengeance. Soon the hegemony would discover that their test strikes had created something far more dangerous than another conquered species. They had forged the instrument of their own destruction. The countdown reached 0 at exactly noon, Earth Standard Time. Tim Bradley watched from the bridge of his stealth ship as the first phase of Operation Prometheus began 300 light-years from home. Around him, his crew prepared for what might be humanity's final gambit. Quantum lance firing sequence initiated, came the voice of Admiral Torres through their secure communication link. All stations report ready. Bradley's ship, the Retribution, hung invisible near the hegemony's primary command world. His mission was simple in concept but deadly in execution. Infiltrate the alien communication hub and plant devices that would amplify Earth's quantum weapons while disrupting hegemony defenses. Beginning infiltration now, Bradley reported, as his ship moved toward the massive orbital station that controlled the aliens' interstellar network. The station was larger than Earth's moon, covered with sensor arrays and defensive weapons that could destroy entire fleets. But the hegemony's sensors were designed to detect their own technology. Bradley's ship used human innovations combined, with stolen alien components in ways the aliens had never encountered. To their instruments, the retribution was invisible. Meanwhile, back in Earth's solar system, Lisa Chen watched her quantum lance charge to full power. Around the system, 11 other weapons prepared to fire simultaneously. Each lance was aimed at a different hegemony core world, targeting their command centers, military installations, and communication hubs. All weapons show green status, Lisa reported to Admiral Torres. Quantum entanglement locked on all targets. We're ready to fire on your command. Admiral Torres stood in the main command center on Luna Station, surrounded by displays showing the positions of every human ship and weapon in the solar system. 24 months ago, she had watched helplessly as aliens destroyed Earth cities. Today, she would return that destruction 12-fold. Fire, she commanded. 12 quantum lances discharged simultaneously, their energy transmitted instantly across hundreds of light years. The weapons drew power from every fusion reactor in the solar system, channeling enough energy to power entire worlds into focused beams of annihilation. Captain Bradley felt the space around the hegemony command station ripple as the quantum energy arrived. The alien orbital platform designed to coordinate military operations across thousands of worlds simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, the next it was expanding debris and ionized gas. Similar destruction struck 11 other hegemony worlds within the same second. Command centers vanished. Military bases evaporated. Communication arrays turned to scrap metal floating in space. The aliens' interstellar empire lost its central nervous system in the time it took to blink. But the quantum strikes were only the beginning. As hegemony forces reeled from the sudden decapitation of their command structure, the second phase of Operation Prometheus began. Bradley's ships released thousands of small devices throughout hegemony space. Each device contained human-designed computer programs that had been disguised to look like routine hegemony maintenance protocols. But instead of maintaining alien systems, they began broadcasting a single message to every conquered world in the Empire. "Attention, enslaved peoples of the galaxy," the message began. "This is Earth Command of the Human Federation. The hegemony attacked our world and murdered our people. Today we have returned their gift. Their command structure has been destroyed, their fleets are scattered. The time for your freedom has come." The message included technical specifications for disrupting hegemony control devices, locations of weapon caches, and tactical information about alien weaknesses. Within hours of the quantum strikes, rebellions erupted on hundreds of worlds throughout the former empire. On the industrial world of Kepler 442b, the native population had labored under hegemony control for 2 centuries. When the human liberation signal arrived, they turned their factories from producing alien weapons to manufacturing tools of revolution. Mining equipment became improvised tanks. Industrial robots became soldiers. The same pattern repeated across hegemony space. Conquered species who had given up hope suddenly found themselves with weapons, information, and most importantly, proof that the aliens could be defeated. The human attack had done more than damage hegemony infrastructure. It had shattered the myth of alien invincibility. Admiral Torres watched the results unfold from her command center. Intelligence reports flowed in from across the galaxy as human monitoring stations tracked the spreading chaos in hegemony territory. "Rebellion, confirmed on over 300 worlds," reported her intelligence officer. "The hegemony invasion fleet has broken formation. Some ships are returning to defend their home systems. Others are continuing toward our solar system, and at least 50 vessels have defected to join the rebellions." "What about their response to our attacks?" Torres asked. "Confused and uncoordinated. They're trying to re-establish communication with their surviving forces, but our disruption devices are preventing effective coordination. It looks like different hegemony factions are starting to fight each other." This had been one of humanity's greatest hopes. The hegemony ruled through fear and overwhelming force, but their empire included dozens of different alien species who had been conquered at different times. With central control destroyed, old grievances and territorial disputes were resurging. Captain Bradley reported similar observations from his position in hegemony space. The aliens are completely unprepared for this kind of disruption. Their military doctrine assumes they'll always maintain communication superiority and overwhelming force. They don't know how to fight a distributed enemy using guerrilla tactics. The third phase of Operation Prometheus began as human ships emerged from hiding throughout the galaxy. For months, Earth's most advanced vessels had been infiltrating hegemony space using captured alien technology. Now they revealed themselves, coordinating with rebellious worlds to strike at remaining alien strongholds. Commander David Walsh led one such strike against a hegemony fortress guarding a strategic hyperspace junction. His force included human, ships, liberated alien vessels, and desperate fighters from a dozen different species. The fortress had seemed impregnable when it was built to suppress a single conquered world. Against a coordinated multi-species assault, it fell within hours. "The fortress is secure," Walsh reported to Admiral Torres. "We've captured intact hegemony weapons and 3 of their high-ranking commanders. The local population is celebrating in the streets." Similar victories occurred throughout former hegemony territory as human forces proved that their success against the command worlds hadn't been luck. Earth's military had learned to combine the best aspects of human adaptability with captured alien technology, creating hybrid forces that were more effective than either could be alone. The hegemony invasion fleet, originally 3,000 strong, had fragmented into competing groups. Some continued toward Earth, determined to complete their original mission. Others attempted to retake rebellious worlds. Many simply fled into deep space, hoping to escape the chaos consuming their empire. "How many ships are still heading for Earth?" President Harrison asked during an emergency briefing 6 weeks after the initial strikes. "Approximately 800, Admiral Torres replied. "But they're arriving in small groups over several months rather than as a coordinated fleet. Our defensive systems can handle them. And the rest of their forces? Scattered across the galaxy, fighting rebellions, fighting each other, or running away. The hegemony as a unified empire no longer exists." The irony wasn't lost on any of the human leadership. The aliens had attacked Earth to prevent humanity from spreading beyond its home system. Instead, they had triggered events that placed human influence throughout the galaxy. The 12 missiles that were meant to wipe out human civilization had become the catalyst for humanity's emergence as an interstellar power. Lisa Chen, monitoring the continuing effects of her quantum weapons, discovered that the alien communication network was still partially functional. But instead of serving the hegemony, it was now carrying messages of cooperation between liberated worlds and requests for human assistance in building new governments. "We've gone from victims to liberators in less than 2 years," she observed to her team. The hegemony thought they were eliminating a threat. Instead, they created the force that brought them down. As the immediate crisis passed, humanity began to grapple with its new role in galactic affairs. The species that had barely reached its own moon a century earlier was suddenly being asked to mediate disputes between civilizations thousands of years old. But Admiral Torres felt confident about humanity's future among the stars. The same qualities that had allowed humans to survive the initial attack, adaptability, innovation, and determination, would serve them well as leaders of a free galaxy. The hegemony's greatest mistake had been to attack Earth before understanding what humans were capable of when threatened. They had expected another conquered species. Instead, they had awakened humanity's potential and given Earth the motivation to exceed every limitation that had previously constrained them. The galaxy would never be the same. President Harrison stood before the assembled delegates in what had once been the United Nations building in Geneva. 2 years had passed since Operation Prometheus shattered the hegemony, and today marked the founding of something unprecedented in galactic history, a voluntary alliance of free worlds led not by conquest, but by cooperation. The assembly hall buzzed with dozens of languages as representatives from over 400 worlds took their seats. Some delegates breathed oxygen. Like humans, others required special atmospheric suits. A few existed as energy beings contained in crystalline vessels. All had come to Earth to witness the birth of the Terran Confederation. "We gather today not as conquerors and conquered, but as equals united by our shared desire for freedom," President Harrison began his speech. The hegemony ruled through fear and oppression. The Terran Confederation will succeed through cooperation and mutual respect. In the years since humanity's surprise victory, the galaxy had transformed completely. The former hegemony's territory had fragmented into thousands of independent systems, many of which looked to Earth for guidance in establishing democratic governments. Human advisors, diplomats, and engineers had spread throughout the galaxy, helping former slave worlds rebuild their societies. Admiral Torres, now commanding the Confederation's growing interstellar fleet, watched the proceedings from her position in the observer's gallery. Her ships patrolled trade routes between worlds, protected new settlements, and defended against the remaining hegemony holdouts who still refused to accept their defeat. The memorial gardens outside the assembly building had been built over the crater where Geneva once stood. 12 similar gardens now marked the sites where alien weapons had struck Earth, each one a reminder of humanity's darkest hour and greatest triumph. Children played among the flowering trees, unaware that they stood on ground where millions had died and where humanity's future had been forged. Dr. Maria Santos, now Earth's primary expert on galactic archaeology, presented her latest findings to the assembly. Her teams had discovered evidence that the hegemony itself had once been a free alliance of worlds, corrupted over millennia by fear of something they called the harvest. Ancient records suggest that artificial intelligences from the galactic core periodically sweep outward, consuming organic civilizations, Maria explained to the hushed delegates. The hegemony's aggression may have been motivated by preparation for this threat, rather than simple expansionism. This revelation had profound implications for the young Confederation. If the ancient AIs returned, the free worlds would need to stand together or face extinction. But humanity's experience with the hegemony had proven that cooperation was more effective than domination in building strong alliances. Captain Bradley, recently promoted to admiral, commanded the Confederation's exploration fleets pushing into the galactic frontier. His ships made contact with new species every month, many of whom had hidden from the hegemony for centuries. Each first contact followed protocols developed by human diplomats: approach peacefully, offer assistance, respect, sovereignty, and invite voluntary participation in the growing alliance. We encountered another refugee population in the Vega sector, Bradley reported during the quarterly fleet commanders meeting. They've been hiding in an asteroid field for 300 years, terrified that the hegemony would find them. When we explained that the Empire was gone, they literally wept with joy. The Confederation's success wasn't just military or diplomatic, it was technological and cultural. Human adaptability had proven crucial in understanding and integrating knowledge from hundreds of different species. Earth's universities established exchange programs with alien institutions, leading to breakthrough discoveries in physics, medicine, and engineering. Lisa Chen, now director of the Confederation's Research and Development Division, oversaw projects that would have seemed like magic just a few years earlier. Her teams were developing faster-than-light drives that didn't require the quantum networks the hegemony had controlled. They were creating energy shields based on principles learned from a crystalline species in the Andromeda approach. Most ambitiously, they were working on defensive systems designed to counter the mythical harvest machines. Every species brings something unique to our alliance, Lisa explained to a group of visiting researchers from the Centauri worlds. Humans contribute adaptability and innovation. The silicon-based beings from Rigel offer computational power. The energy entities from the Pleiades provide insights into quantum mechanics. Together, we're achieving things none of us could accomplish alone. The transformation wasn't without challenges. Some former hegemony species struggled with concepts like individual freedom and democratic governance. Others resented humanity's prominent role in the new order, arguing that Earth had simply replaced the aliens as the dominant power. President Harrison addressed these concerns during his speech to the founding assembly. The Terran Confederation will succeed or fail based on whether we remain true to our founding principles. We are not here to rule others, but to protect the right of every world to govern itself. Any member world that wishes to leave our alliance may do so freely, with our blessing and continued friendship. This declaration surprised many delegates who were accustomed to the hegemony's iron control. Several worlds that had joined the Confederation reluctantly decided to remain, after learning they could leave whenever they chose. The voluntary nature of the alliance proved to be its greatest strength. Commander Walsh, now overseeing the integration of former hegemony military forces, had spent months working with alien officers who were struggling to adapt to Confederation values. Many had spent their entire careers following orders without question. The concept of military forces serving civilian governments rather than ruling them was revolutionary. "We're not just changing how they fight," Walsh explained to Admiral Torres during one of their regular meetings. "We're changing how they think about authority itself. Some of the former hegemony officers are among our most effective defenders of freedom now that they understand what they're protecting." The economic transformation had been equally dramatic. The hegemony had maintained control through scarcity, keeping conquered worlds dependent on alien technology and resources. The Confederation promoted abundance through free trade and shared knowledge. Worlds that had struggled to feed their populations under alien rule now exported surplus food to help other developing systems. Trade routes that had once carried tribute to hegemony core worlds now facilitated voluntary exchange between equal partners. Human merchants, protected by Confederation fleets, carried goods and ideas throughout the galaxy. The same ships that had once delivered ultimatums now brought medical supplies, educational materials, and cultural exchanges. The 12 crystal formations on Earth had become more than memorials. They were active research centers where human and alien scientists worked together to understand the deepest mysteries of the universe. The quantum computers left behind by the hegemony's weapons had evolved into something far more sophisticated under human care, becoming the foundation for the Confederation's communication networks. Dr. Santos made regular pilgrimages to these sites, not just as a scientist but as someone who understood their symbolic importance. "These crystals represent humanity's transformation," she told visitors to the New York Memorial. "They were meant to mark our destruction. Instead, they became the seeds of our greatest achievements." The political structure of the Confederation reflected humanity's hard-learned lessons about power and responsibility. No single world could dominate the alliance, not even Earth. Decisions required consensus among member worlds, and every species had equal representation, regardless of their technological development or population size. President Harrison, nearing the end of his extended term, prepared to step down in favor of the first truly interstellar government in galactic history. The Confederation Council would include representatives from every major species group, with rotating leadership that ensured no single world could accumulate too much influence. "Democracy is messy," Harrison admitted during his farewell address to Earth's population. "It's slow, it's complicated, and it requires constant vigilance, but it's also the only system that respects the dignity and freedom of every sentient being. The hegemony was efficient, but it was also evil. We choose the harder path because it's the right path." As the Confederation's third year began, humanity's role in the galaxy continued to evolve. Earth's children were growing up in schools, alongside young beings from dozens of different species. Human languages were being taught on worlds thousands of light years away. The same adaptability that had allowed humans to survive the hegemony's attack was now helping them serve as bridges between vastly different alien cultures. Admiral Torres stood on the observation deck of her flagship, watching as a convoy of ships departed Earth for the galactic rim. The convoy included vessels from over 20 different worlds carrying colonists, scientists, and explorers to establish new settlements in regions the hegemony had never controlled. 3 years ago, we were a single species trapped in one solar system, she reflected to her aide. Today, human influence extends throughout the galaxy, not through conquest but through cooperation. The aliens who tried to destroy us accidentally created the conditions for humanity's greatest achievement. The final irony wasn't lost on those who remembered the original attack. The hegemony had fired 12 missiles at Earth to prevent human expansion beyond their home system. Those 12 weapons had killed 200 million people, but had also provided the technology, motivation, and moral authority for humanity to become the galaxy's leading advocates for freedom and cooperation. Children playing in the memorial gardens above those impact sites were growing up in a universe where their species was respected throughout the galaxy, where human values of individual freedom, democratic governance, and voluntary cooperation were spreading to worlds that had never imagined such concepts were possible. The hegemony had intended those 12 missiles to end humanity's story. Instead, they had written the first chapter of humanity's greatest adventure. The species that had been marked for extinction had become the galaxy's best hope for a free and prosperous future. As Admiral Torres watched the latest convoy disappear into hyperspace, she smiled at the thought of how wrong the aliens had been. They had feared that humanity would spread throughout the galaxy and become a threat to established order. They had been absolutely right. Humanity had spread throughout the galaxy and had become the greatest possible threat to tyranny, oppression, and the idea that might makes right. The 12 missiles that were meant to prevent human expansion had instead ensured that human values would endure among the stars for generations to come. The hegemony's revenge had become humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy,